Perched on a rocky island on the sandbanks between Normandy and Brittany lies a magnificent abbey that is like no other in the world. Looking like it came straight out of a storybook, this Gothic Benedictine church, also known as the Wonder of the West, is le Mont Saint Michel. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and continues to be one of Europe's unforgettable places. But aside from its breathtaking facade, this abbey is over 1300 years old, and with its long history comes some uncovered secrets, from an underground church to an uncovered medieval necropolis. This mystical place surprises historians with its ever-changing history after each excavation. Welcome to Intrigued Mind, and join us in finding out what mysteries surround the mesmerizing Le Mont Saint Michel. Aubert, who was the Bishop of Avranches, had a dream wherein the Archangel Michael appeared and asked him to establish a sanctuary in his name. This occurred 3 times, and legend has it that the Archangel even went as far as poking his finger into Aubert's skull to get him to do his wishes. The bishop finally acknowledged his dreams, and he then sent messages to Mont Gargano in Italy, which used to be the recognised site dedicated to Saint Michel, to bring relics of the Michel to the Mont Tomb, the original name of the Mont Saint Michel, and in the year 708 CE, the first foundations of the abbey would be laid. The fantastical origin story matches a great place itself, and the abbey matches the Archangel himself, as he is the leader of the heavenly body of angels and symbolises the power of the forces of good against evil and the guardian of heaven. So the abbey stood atop a small island that is exceptionally hard to reach. This account is not just contained in local lore, it is a legend written in the oldest text recording to the origins of the abbey, called the Revelatio Ecclesiae Sancti Michelesis. In this text lies the complete timeline of the abbey from the starting off as a small sanctuary in the 7th century to becoming a famous pilgrimage site in the early 8th century, to a monastery in the 9th century under the order of Saint Benedict, to a fortress in the 13th century, and into a prison in the 17th century. This monument offers a diverse collection of archaeological styles, since it includes the 13 centuries of the additions and restorations, but the most mesmerizing architecture is considered to be the Merveille building, since it shows the masterful work of the Norman Gothic artists and expertise of the 13th century builders. Since the abbey was positioned in between Normandy and Brittany, it played a key role in the defences of Normandy, and due to the battles faced by France at the time, including the 100 Years' Wars with England, the abbey required renovations to make it more secure. These fortifications were able to resist the attacks of the English for over 30 years. But of course, nothing is indestructible, as history tells us, and as part of the church eventually collapsed due to the siege conducted by the English. After the war, the abbey was converted into a bastille on the sea for prisoners of war, where the monks became the prison guards of the 15th century up to the 17th century. Eventually, the monks of Saint Michel left the Mont de Saint Michel after it was declared as a national property, and soon became a prison for revolutionists. It wasn't until the closure of the prison in 1863 that France saw this abbey's merit as a historical landmark and constructed a tramway to make it easier for the visitors to go to. Its tourism numbers grew, and in 1979 it was listed as one of the first French cultural properties and a World Heritage Site. Until today, it undergoes large-scale restorations with a budget of over €200 million, since its most recent upkeep began in 2007. But with its preservation comes some revealed secrets about this place, some that aren't even written in the Revelation Ecclesiae in the first place. Some undiscovered facts about the abbey include the original location of Aubert's original church. After all the years historians took in decoding the record of the church's origins, it still could not locate the small sanctuary that started it all. The Chapelle Notre-Dame-sous-Terre, also known as the underground chapel of Our Lady, was originally believed to be that chapel. It is one of the island's most intriguing features and has limited access to tourists. A specialist in medieval architecture conducted studies on the site recently using 3 techniques: carbon-14, archaeomagnetism, and thermonuminescence. This showed that the chapel was actually built in the 10th century, therefore it is not to be the original church that they would have hoped for. What is odd about this underground chapel is that the ground penetrating technology revealed that there were no previous constructions beneath this chapel, which tells geologists that the chapel that was dug out deep within the rock. However, archaeologists say that this was originally an exterior construction built against a rock wall, and later structures were built around it, creating the illusion of it being buried. Aside from underground chapels, the architecture of this massive abbey has been increasingly unearthed due to improving technology. The topography was not understood until 2016, when they started using the photogrammetry, which is the science of obtaining and interpreting information from physical objects through patterns of images of physical objects and the environment. Though what was needed to be uncovered about the place? Benedictine monks were forbidden from having any contact with outsiders or worshippers, which is why the abbey had to be constructed in a way to prevent interaction. But due to limited space across the aisle, they were forced to build upwards. However, these constructions over the years were hard to analyse traditionally, especially because some parts of the buildings remain unstable. Without any lives risked, the 3D model and technology made it possible to find hidden passageways behind the thick walls dating back to the 12th century, with some leading to the unknown rooms whilst others open out to a void. Better be careful not to open any doors during the tours. But kidding aside, there is a new discovery after every excavation in this place. For 20 years of renovations, there have been many discoveries as to how this abbey had lived through onslaughts, high tides, extreme weather, and occupancy of different people from different timelines in history. Aside from being a monastery, this place served as a village and even as a cemetery. During renovations, a tree fell during the windstorm of 1999, which revealed fragments of old stone moulds used to make pilgrimage badges, which were souvenirs of the pilgrims who visited the place during the 12th century. In 2017, the main street of the abbey was unearthed to reveal 36 medieval graves that were really well preserved, who are possibly the earliest inhabitants of the Mont Saint Michel. Who knows, maybe one of them is Saint Aubert himself. Not only is it just about the beginning of expanding the history behind this majestic place, but historians note that they are only about to unearth a small portion of what is one of Europe's beloved heritage sites, and that is one of the few locations that can embody the beauty of multiple colourful historical time periods of the West. If you want to know more about the medieval structures that continue to stand the test of time, let us know in the comments below which place we should talk about in our next video. For more videos of the most amazing forgotten parts of our history, be sure to subscribe to the Intrigued Mind channel, like the video, and leave your suggestions in the comments below. See you next time.